The US is considering a diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Winter Olympic Games in Beijing to protest China's treatment of the Uyghur Muslim minority. Under a diplomatic boycott, American athletes would still be able to participate in the Games in February, but an official delegation of US government officials would not attend. Joining us now is political analyst and professor at Curtin University, Prof Siracusa. Professor, good morning. Is this more symbolic than anything else?
Good morning, Doug. No, it's not symbolic. It's very serious stuff. Sanctions and boycotts have been attempted at a number of the Olympics. In 1980, Jimmy Carter withheld the American team in protesting the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Funny enough, 20 years later, we invaded the same place. And then 4 years later, the Soviets repaid the favor by boycotting the games in Los Angeles. And look, I got to tell you that in this crazy world where, all the war parties want to go to war with China and the Chinese have got their own war parties, I think peaceful interaction is a pretty good idea. And also in my lifetime, I think these sanctions and these boycotts, they simply don't work. We need a new way of expressing displeasure with these things. I keep thinking, when I was a kid, we all heard about Jesse Owens went to Berlin in 1936, set 4 world records, and turned the Nazi theory of the Aryan race on its head by forcing Hitler to watch a black American beat everybody. I mean, that's wonderful stuff. Also, magic on the ice in 1980 when the American ice hockey team beat the Russians. These are great moments. And look, the Olympic movement is above this. It's one of those few minutes where we get that peaceful interaction for a couple of weeks, where people can compete with each other, transcend politics and that kind of thing. And it's like the International Space Station. You don't boycott that, and you certainly don't boycott the Ashes or the World Cup, or you don't boycott the World Series or the Super or the bowl games. It's a bad idea. And of course, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas wants a complete boycott. Calls it the Genocide Olympics. Look, if you don't like the what's going on in China, go to the Olympics. Have the Vice President of the United States take a knee during the Chinese national anthem, and I'll tell you what, that'll send the message to the Uyghurs that they got support in the United States. But to use the Olympics, go ahead.
How do you think that China will respond to this threat?
Look, Chinese will take this very badly. If Australia was going to have an Olympics and someone boycotted you at the last minute, you'd be very angry. And I work with some Olympic bids, and I know they work very hard to get these things up. Look, boycotting the Olympics, boycotting anything like this, and it's like the tariff wars. It may not seem like much to some people, but it poisons everything. It poisons the atmosphere. It poisons the next set of actions. People never forgive people for treating them badly like that on the world stage. Sure, the Chinese have got a very bad history against their Uyghurs. On the other hand, for the Americans to make a big fuss about the Uyghurs right now, after just a couple months ago, they turned their back on 20 million Afghan girls and women and girls, and returned them to the 7th century. I mean, it looks a little hypocritical here to go all out on one place where you can't do anything about it right now, and to do nothing where you could have done something about it. So I'm not buying it. Look, there's a great South African proverb, but it's easier to walk together farther as a group than as an individual. These Olympic boycotts, simply they don't work. They are counterproductive. I think it's one of those great moments where people can actually get together and play a sport. I don't care what the sport is, but I think it transcends politics for a minute. And I'll tell you what, in this dangerous and uncertain world we live in, we need a few places like this where people can just be human beings for a minute and forget about killing each other.
Well, you'd certainly think so. Watch this space. Professor, thank you for joining me this morning.
Okay, thank you.